sustainability in the built environment. Council brings together organisations which share our mission and serves as a platform for collaboration and knowledge sharing. We run an educational programme with events and trainings throughout the year aimed at raising awareness of green building best practice and providing the knowledge and skills to build capacity within the UAE. So with this goal in mind, we are partnering with GBCI to bring a series of educational webinars based around LEED and other USGBC certifications, which I'm sure you will all know are really widely used and useful certification tools within this region, supporting organisations to improve the environmental operations of their buildings and their sustainability journey. So we're very pleased with the partnership with GBCI and the activities which we're doing in collaboration. We have 3 expert representatives with us here today to talk you through the latest aspects of the LEED version 4.1 O&M and also give a live demonstration of the ARC platform. So just before we start, I would say that if anybody has any questions about Emirates Green Building Council or our wider educational work, you should reach out to us on the contact information that I will be sharing after this event. It's also worth mentioning as well that due to the current global health situation, our team are operating remotely, and we are currently moving all of our events and trainings for the foreseeable future online. So make sure you sign up to our mailing list or follow us on social media to receive notifications for similar webinars such as this in the coming weeks. So without further ado, I'll hand over back to Deepti to talk you through today's agenda, and I hope you find the webinar enjoyable and informative.
Thank you very much, Lindsay, and a very warm welcome to all the participants on the call today and to my co-panelists and to our market development team who's on the call. Thank you, Emirates Green Building Council, for providing us with this fantastic platform. And this would be the 3rd time that we are exploring LEED version 4.1 operations and maintenance. But today we're going to be focusing a little more on ARC because we have Gautami from our ARC team with us as well. So it's going to be a mixed bag of both data as well as performance and on how to improve the efficiency of our buildings and spaces, cities as well as communities. My name is Deepti. I front the Middle East business for GBCI. Our Middle East headquarters is based out of Dubai in Jumeirah Lake Towers, and we've been operating out of our Dubai offices for a couple of years now. We cater to businesses across the GCC and extended other aspects such as participating in their annual congress, in all of the other events, and they've been kind enough to provide us with this platform. With that, let me get started by introducing my co-panelist. Next slide, please. Saurabh Gupta, Senior Technical Manager from GBCI India, and Gautami Palanki, Director ArcScoru from our US offices. We can go to the next slide, please. Thank you, Sarah. So 25 years ago, USGBC created the LEED Green Building Program as a way to measure and define green buildings and to provide a roadmap for developing sustainable buildings. With LEED, we sought to create a simple, holistic, metrics-based system to define green buildings. LEED established a baseline that is a universally agreed upon system for providing a quality indoor environment and reducing environmental impact, particularly focusing on reducing carbon emissions and addressing climate risk. Next slide, please. GBCI, the certification arm of US Green Building Council, is the premier organization independently recognizing excellence in green building industry performance and practice globally. GBCI is the only certification and credentialing body with the green business and sustainability industry to exclusively administer project certifications and professional credentials such as LEED, PEER, WELL, etc. Next slide, please. LEED, our flagship rating system, is the rating system of choice amongst our key stakeholders, while our performance-based platform ARC that powers the LEED version 4.1 O&M rating program has carved a niche for itself in the region to help micro to macro level projects report performance. GBCI, in the capacity of an independent certification body, continues to support and enable other rating programs such as TRUE, ParkSmart, Peer, Edge, GRESB, WELL, and site certifications in the region. Next slide, please. Now, people know that if they are in a LEED certified building, they're using less energy and water, avoiding waste, saving on maintenance costs, improving indoor air quality, offering comfort to their occupants, and creating less environmental burden on their community. They also know that they are in a building that enhances health and wellness. After all, green building is all about people. Next slide, please. LEED has become the most widely used green building program in the world. Today, there are nearly 98,000 registered and certified commercial projects globally participating in LEED in 175 countries and territories. There are also more than 201,000 LEED professionals. Next slide, please. Over the last 2 decades, the UAE has become a leader in green building, and as one of the fastest growing metropolises in the world, Dubai itself has become a model for how a city can transform into one of the most sustainable and livable cities in the world. In 2019, Dubai earned the LEED Platinum certification under existing cities and communities by reporting performance on the ARC platform. Next slide, please. Few case studies from the region. The first one we'd like to showcase is that of Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry, that since 1998, Dubai Chamber has committed to sustainability. They've saved about 21 million dirhams over 15 years. It's the first O&M project in the Arab world and has earned LEED Platinum certification in 2013 and recertified as LEED Platinum in 2018. Next slide, please. The next example is that of the High Bay building at Dubai Silicon Oasis Authority that earned the LEED Platinum rating under version 4.1 existing buildings. Next slide, please. We want to showcase the recertification recognition of Do Telecom. Their retail stores in Mirdif City Center and Fujairah City Center that earlier certified as Gold and Platinum under LEED Commercial Interiors. They are both housed within LEED Core and Shell certified malls. Both the malls have recertified in the recent times as Platinum by reporting performance and data on the ARC platform. Next slide, please. USGBC has launched a net zero certification program awarded to projects that demonstrate any or all of the following: net zero carbon emissions, net zero energy use, net zero water use, and net zero waste. Projects should either be LEED certified or undergoing LEED certification. Projects must provide 12 months of performance data across any or all of these categories to GBCI through the LEED online platform. So with this, we're inviting all projects to achieve a balance of zero across emissions, energy, water, and waste. With that, I'd like to open the floor to Saurabh to carry on with the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepti. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, to those located in different parts of the world. So my name is Saurabh Gupta, and I'm a senior technical manager for GBCI, and I'm primarily responsible for client support in India and Middle East region. So with that, we are going to today cover about the LEED V4.1 rating system, which is the newest version of LEED rating system available and the LEED family. Although LEED V4.1 has a series of rating system available, today we are going to primarily focus upon LEED O&M, which is the rating system available for existing building. So welcome to LEED V4.1. Whether you are a seasoned LEED practitioners or not, we encourage you to test this bigger, bolder, and stronger rating system, which is available for buildings and spaces to shape up their building performance model. LEED V4.1 is the most inclusive and transparent platform till date. That's because our most important requirement for adaptation is coming from the most valuable resources, that is you. While developing LEED V4.1 rating program, we have main goals in criteria. First, ensure leadership. LEED has always been in the forefront of green building industry, and through V4.1, we want to re-echo the message again. Second, increase achievability. We have simplified the requirements and changed them if we saw in practice they were not working. Third, expansion of the market. Every building type is unique and LEED version offers flexible ways for different building types to demonstrate compliance. Lastly, we want to improve performance throughout the life cycle of the building by opening a ways to ongoing certification and recertification. Goals in detail. The first goal was to address the market barriers and lessons learned from the LEED V4 project team. How do we do that? We have simplified the requirement that were often confusing. Examples, carpool and preferred parking requirement. We have updated the requirements that in practice have not produced any intended goal or outcomes, and we have made LEED more accessible to diverse project types. The second goal is to update the performance requirement to ensure LEED remains the global standard for green building industry. LEED V4 for around 4 years now, and we must update the reference standard to advance the mission of sustainable built environment. We have incorporated various pilot strategies and LEED interpretation into the mainstream LEED V4.1 requirement. We have also added acquired LEED international compliances and reference standards that are applicable to globally and locally. And lastly, we have applied the lessons which we have learned for the LEED project team. The goal is to expand the market for LEED, making LEED more accessible than ever to diverse project types and diverse locations. We are able to expand the market. We want to make it work more internationally by incorporating additional international compliance path and additional standards, align requirement with other GBCI rating systems such as Sites, Well, True, ParkSmart, etc. Lastly, we have a goal to improve the performance of the life cycle of the building by adjusting the credit weightings to prioritize strategies that enhance the performance of the building and reward the performance. After initial certification, we are also offering a streamlined way for ongoing data-driven certification and recertification program. So let's understand LEED for operation and maintenance rating system, which is the topic for discussion. So when it comes to existing building, much has been changed now with the launch of LEED V4.1. So with V4.1 O&M certification is now based on a measurable outcomes through a performance score. If you remember LEED version 4, until 2 years back, existing building in LEED was certified through a conventional approach of documentation, where the project team has to do a lot of work in documenting several credits and prerequisites pursued for certification. For LEED in EB, we realized that the certification and documentation needs to be simple, data-driven, and iterative. Therefore, we are testing a new process to certification with V4.1 beta. LEED V4 O&M is available as a beta to use, a simple data-driven path to LEED certification for existing building. The rating system has been simplified, the number of credits has been reduced drastically and replaced with the performance score achievement in various categories. One gives a more weighted requirement data directly measured by the project. For 90 out of total 100 possible points are allocated to the performance-based prerequisites. New methodology for tracking and rating performance has been integrated into the rating system through tracking performance into energy, water, waste, transportation, and human experience. Strategies has also been linked to the performance score as they improve. Let's review what is new to LEED V4.1 for existing building. So data as a documentation. LEED V4.1 uses a new method for tracking and rating performance that allows project to use their building data to document their achievements. Minimum performance score. However, we have also tried to maintain a minimum performance score that a project needs to be met for applying for a LEED certification. Once the project enters the data into the ARC platform, they need to earn a minimum score of 40 out of 100 into each of the 5 performance categories. The rating system has been simplified, the number of credits has been reduced, and the number of requirement has been replaced with the performance scores. There are only 7 prerequisites that a project team needs to meet to apply for LEED certification. There are additional 10 optional credits that are available and that can be attempted by the project team to earn extra 10 points. We have made several changes and updates to prerequisites and credits to reduce the time and efforts in the documentation. For the first time, LEED also addressed the existing interior spaces. And finally, now the validity of the LEED V4.1 O&M certification is for 3 years from the date of certification acceptance. So in order to keep the certification alive and active, the project needs to provide data annually and must certify every 3 years. At the core of the LEED are the LEED system goals. There are 7 LEED system goals that we follow. These are primarily the same which is coming from the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Any LEED rating system and LEED V4.1 O&M is built to support the overall LEED system goals. These goals were the same that we were using earlier also. It has not been changed. These goals are the things that we want the LEED projects to be good at. Each credit and categories in LEED rating system ties back to one or more LEED system goals. With LEED V4.1, the system goals doesn't change. The only change is the difference in way how we are measuring progress towards them. Let's take a look at the scorecard. So this is a scorecard which is this is a fresh scorecard which is available for LEED O&M existing building rating system. If you are already familiar with the LEED V4 rating system, you will feel that this scorecard looks to be very neat and tidy because we have reduced a lot of credits and prerequisites in the new rating system. We are using this approach to achieve the same sustainability outcomes identified in LEED V4. As you can see now, the highlighted blue box are the ones which are the performance-based prerequisite. The unique part of this performance-based prerequisite is that while the projects have to achieve a certain threshold to meet the prerequisite requirement, they can earn additional points for going beyond that threshold. So the minimum prerequisite for each of these performance-based categories is 40% out of 100. So you have to maintain at least 40% to go for certification. Additionally, there are 10 additional points or 10 additional credits that cannot be evaluated on a performance based, and that credits are highlighted in the blue box. Plus, there are few prerequisites that any project team needs to be fulfilled in order to pursue for any LEED certification. This is a different scorecard. This is a scorecard that is available for existing building. So if you have any interior fit out project which is existing within a building, scorecard, there will be difference in terms of credits and based on the requirement of the interior fit out project. Now let us understand the requirement and take a look at the certification process. The first and foremost thing that any project team needs to do is register a fresh project in LEED online. Once you register a project in LEED online, you will get access to a variety of tools and resources that is available within us, and also to our technology platform named ARC. Once you register, you can start collecting the data, provide the data into the ARC platform and generate score for the last 12 months. Once you do that, you can again further take a step ahead and attempt the prerequisite credits and documentation which is required for those credits and prerequisites. Once you have a data and the prerequisites and credits documentation, then submit the documentation to GBCI for review through LEED online. This will go through 2 rounds of review, preliminary and final rounds of review. Once the review is completed, you will earn an initial certification that is valid for 3 years. However, to maintain the certification, you need to provide annual data and commit to recertification once every 3 years. The certification level remains the same if you are already familiar with the LEED rating system. A minimum of 40 points is required to become a certified level LEED certification that can further go to platinum level 80 plus points. Now I would ask my colleague Gautami to take over and explain you the ARC platform.
Thank you, Saurabh. Hi, everyone. My name is Gautami. I'm with ARC Skoru Inc., and we're going to explore ARC together over the next 20-30 minutes. I really want to thank the Emirates Green Building Council, Lindsay, Deepti, Saurabh, and everyone else who's on the call for taking the time today. There's about 90 attendees on today's webinar, and that's very exciting to see, especially given the current circumstance that the mission for green buildings continues to remain. So give me 1 second while I can show you my screen. While we wait on that, I wanted to remind everyone that if you have any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to send them through the chat function. This will help us understand what you're thinking about at the moment, and we can answer them at that same time. So with that, let me quickly walk you through the ARC platform. This might be new to some of you because ARC is a newly launched technology platform that's been made available worldwide. So at the heart of it, ARC is a platform that offers you a performance-based score to identify how green your building is. The fun part is that the access to ARC is free for all buildings anywhere in the world. So if you want to answer the question, how green is your building? You can start answering that today by tracking building performance in the ARC platform. At the heart of it, ARC is available on www.arcscoru.com. Very simplistically, it gives you a score between 0 to 100 and helps you identify how high performing or perhaps lower performing your building might be. Because the more you know, the more you can do with it. Higher scores indicate better performance. So let's get a little bit into the details. The score of 1 to 100 is divided across 5 categories. The 5 categories are energy, water, waste, transportation, and human experience. You provide data in each of these categories, and you get a score in each of these categories. So for example, a lot of you, if not all of you, must have data on energy and water use in your building. So you can enter that information and begin to score or benchmark performance in those categories. The score is also divided across these 5 categories. With energy, the maximum score is 33. With water, the maximum score is 15. With waste, the maximum 8. Transportation, 14. Human experience, 20. If you quickly added up those numbers, it adds up to 90. So there's 10 more points that are available. These come from foundational practices in the building. For example, storm water management or light pollution reduction. These are critical activities that need to be conducted in buildings. However, they may not be able to be tracked with data. And so those are called the base score out of 10. All right, so now we know that you can get a score in ARC. Let's talk about the data that you need to generate a score in ARC. For energy, we're looking at 12 consecutive months of whole building energy data. This would be all energy used in the building and all the fuels you're using in the building. So for example, electricity use, gas, steam, solar power, wind power, all the fuels that are using and all the sources of energy that you're using in the building and all end users. Similarly, for water, we're looking at 12 consecutive months of water use data. This would be all water use in the building, whether it's internal water use for your fixtures and restrooms, or external water use, maybe for irrigation, cooling towers. All of this water use needs to be accounted for. With waste, we're looking for at least one waste analysis that identifies the quantity of waste generated and the quantity of waste diverted from landfill. You can conduct this internally by your own team, or you might have a service provider come in, conduct this analysis, and give you a report. The results of that report is what you would enter into the platform. For transportation, we're looking to analyze the carbon emissions related to coming to and from the building. To simplify this process, we've created a survey. It's a very simple survey, which we'll show you in a quick second. And in the survey, we're asking how you get to the building. So for example, if you drive in a fuel efficient car, you enter the distance traveled in the car, and the platform automatically converts that into carbon emissions. Maybe you took the metro, maybe you carpooled. Those are all more carbon efficient options, and those have their own carbon values associated with them in the platform. The fifth category is human experience. And here we're tracking 3 separate data points. One is occupant satisfaction, which is collected from an occupant satisfaction survey. The second is air quality data containing interior carbon dioxide levels. And third is also air quality related, where we're looking for interior total volatile organic compound levels. The air quality data can come from air quality testing or sampling, which can be conducted by your own team, or you can have a service provider collect that information for you. You might also have sensors available, and you can automate data from those sensors to the platform. I know we went through a lot of information in this one slide, but if there's one takeaway from this slide, I would encourage all of you to track or benchmark at least your energy and water data to get started. Again, there's no cost to entering this information in ARC, and you can get started as soon as you have the data. At the end of the day, what we're looking to understand better and what we as ARC are hoping to help you with is understand the performance of your building. So when you enter data in ARC, you get a score in each category and you get an overall score. So the visual that you're seeing on my screen is the performance score available to all projects that engage with ARC. At the center of the screen, you see the overall performance score out of 100. So this particular building has 76 out of 100, so it's doing pretty well. It has an energy score of 29 out of 33, which is pretty good. Water, not so great, right? It has a score of 4 out of 15. Waste is 7 out of 8, transportation 13 out of 14, and human experience 18 out of 20. So at a quick glance, you can say that this building is doing well overall, but perhaps water is the category it needs to focus on. Taking this a step further, in ARC, you can create a portfolio of projects. This could be a collection of buildings as you choose. So for example, if you're a green building consultant, you can organize a portfolio by clients. If you are a real estate company, you can organize your portfolio by regions where your buildings are located, or perhaps an activity. So if 5 of your 10 buildings are pursuing LEED certification, that could be a portfolio. It's completely up to you. Essentially, what you're gaining out of a portfolio is at a single glance, you can see how your buildings are performing against each other. So for example, the screenshot in my PowerPoint identifies building G having a score of 64 and it being the highest performing building within this portfolio. You can also track carbon based on the data that you've provided in ARC. We convert energy use data into carbon and transportation data into carbon. So for the same building with the same data, you're also getting information around carbon. Again, this is the portfolio view where you can see for the building what the associated carbon. In lighter gray is energy carbon, and in darker gray is transportation carbon. I'm seeing a couple of questions come through. Please continue to send them. I'll be taking them in a minute. The most exciting part for the ARC team is the growth and engagement of ARC around the world. We're already in about 90 countries worldwide. And really the highlight of my day on any given day is to be able to speak to green building leaders like all of you on the call who are taking the stand and wanting to make a difference. These green dots on my screen are representative of communities like all of you that are beginning to benchmark and improve performance in every single building anywhere in the world. So ARC can do a lot of things. Here are a couple of ways you can get started. The first tier is ARC is available for anyone, anywhere. It's available at no cost, which means you can begin benchmarking the performance of your building today. The next step is to generate a performance certificate. So once you have data in the for your building, you get a score, and you can generate a performance certificate for that score. You can generate a certificate in any category. And again, this is available at no cost through April 24th. All right, so you've engaged with ARC, you've benchmarked performance, you've generated a performance certificate. What can you do next? The next step is LEED certification. This is really the process where you can certify your building to LEED. As Saurabh illustrated earlier, there are minimum performance requirements. You need to get a score of at least 40% in every category to qualify, and higher scores result in higher LEED certification levels. We have more resources around each of these aspects, which we'll show you in 1 second. Here are a couple of resources. ARC is available on arcscoru.com. After this webinar, if you have any questions or want to reach out to us, you can reach us at contact@arcscoru.com. As Lindsay mentioned, we as well are very concerned about the current situation and have transitioned all our events to online and virtual events. Thank you again for having us today, Emirates Green Building Council. But for more webinars, you can navigate to arcscoru.com/events. Perhaps the most critical resource for you going forward will be these two courses that I've listed here. Both are available on usgbc.org. So if you navigate to usgbc.org and search by ARC Education, you'll see these video tutorials. The first one helps you navigate the platform. It's a simple step-by-step process. And the next one gives you a detailed understanding of the score, which we'll also talk about a little bit more. So I'm going to take a few questions right now and then transition into a demonstration of the ARC platform.
Hi, Gautami. I have shared general questions with Saurabh, and there are questions on your chat if you want to quickly address them.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Deepti. So here we have a few questions. The first one is, do you need the ARC platform to certify your building under LEED version 4.1? The answer is yes. You have to, for LEED version 4.1, the score is a minimum requirement. You have to get a minimum score, and then the overall score determines your LEED certification level. So yes, you have to use the score in ARC for LEED version 4.1 O&M. The next question is ARC the only platform for performance measurement with LEED? Yes, ARC is the platform offered by the US Green Building Council and Green Business Certification Inc. or GBCI for performance measurement. It offers you a score in comparison to other green buildings worldwide and helps you achieve LEED certification. The next question is, does the ARC platform include asset conditions, and what is the basis of scoring? I'm sorry, I'm compressing your question into a sentence. Yes, the ARC platform does take in basic building conditions, which we'll show you in 1 second. This helps us understand your building a little bit better. And of course, if your building is LEED certified, we have all the previous information associated with your building. The next question is a critical one. With the current situation, COVID-19, how do we perform the waste audit and air quality tests? This is a really good question, and thank you for asking it. Of course, we do not want anyone to leave their homes at this time and go to a building to conduct any kind of efforts in the building. So at this time, of course, we understand that certain activities may not be available to be conducted. You can conduct the activities anytime within the performance period. So for example, let's say today, if you chose to start with energy and water data, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months down the line, when you think it's a safer time to visit the building, that's when you can conduct any in-building site visits or activities. So please do not conduct them right now. The last question I have here before Saurabh, I pass it to you for a few more questions. The last question is, can I get benchmarking data for different building categories and areas from ARC? And then a follow-up is there a limit to the number of buildings in each portfolio? Let me answer the first question. Within ARC, you get different kinds of benchmarking information. For every category, you get a score. You can compare that score to the category score last month and last year. So you're comparing yourself in every category to a historic performance. The second level of comparison is to similar properties within the state or province. This is where you get a local average, again, for every category across the 5 categories. It helps you compare to your peers within the same similar location or conditions. The third is you get within a portfolio comparison. So you're able to compare within your own community of buildings. And last but not the least, you get a global score as well in every category that helps you compare your building to other buildings around the world in every category. So just to summarize, you can compare against your own historical performance. You can compare against buildings in the same portfolio. You can compare against buildings within the state or province, and you can compare with buildings around the world. The last question here is there a limit to the number of buildings in each portfolio? No, there isn't a limit to the number of buildings in each portfolio. And in addition to that, if you are looking to have the same building in multiple portfolios, you can absolutely do that. So let me pause for a second and pass it back to Saurabh to see if he has any questions around LEED, and then we can get into a quick demonstration of the ARC platform.
Thanks, Gautami. Some questions coming my way. So first question asked is, what is the difference between LEED O&M and LEED new construction and ID? So as I said, there are different types of rating system available within LEED. LEED O&M category is only for an existing building stuff. So if you have an existing building and existing interior space, that can be called under the LEED O&M category. LEED new construction or LEED BD plus C category is there for a new design and construction. So any new project coming up, that will call under the new construction category. And ID is the interior design. So if you have any interior fit out space, newly designed interior fit out spaces, that can be parked under the ID plus C rating system. The second question I have is, why have the existing commissioning credits be removed? So the primary focus of launching V4.1 O&M is to simplify the requirements and put everything into the performance of the building. So everything now is been recording on the last 12 months of your data across energy, water, waste, transportation, and human experience. While we are trying to understand the data in a more streamlined manner, existing commissioning requirement has been removed in the sense that we don't need to reevaluate again when you already have a data to be verified by us. So what we are asking is to provide you the last 12 months of the data. That itself is a kind of a reevaluation of your data to be verified. The third question is, could you please explain about the procedure of renewing the certification every 3 years? So yes, the certification is now valid for only 3 years. However, to maintain the certification for next 3 years, you need to annually provide the data in those 5 categories. That is energy, water, waste, transportation, and human experience. At least at a minimum, once a year, you need to enter the data in those categories and submit to us. However, the recertification will only happen. So that's it. So over to you, Gautami, for the ARC demo.
Saurabh, there was one more question on existing interiors, basic difference between certifying the entire building and just the interior space through ARC.
Okay. As I said, for the first time, LEED has addressed the existing interior part. The difference in the existing interior and existing building is not much. Only the difference which I feel is some of the credits which are not suitable at a building level, like sustainable sites and other transportation related credits, has been removed. And we are only asking you to provide the data only for the interior spaces, maybe it energy, maybe it water. How it is metered and how you provide the data is up to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Saurabh. We're seeing more questions come through. Please keep sending them. We're going to address them as we go through this demonstration. I hope all of you can see my screen. We are on the ARC platform, which is web enabled and available on arcskoru.com, arcskoru.com. You will see a couple of information on this particular page when you get to it. We have some articles. You can find additional online events here. I'm seeing some questions about LEED certification and portfolios as well. So the articles pasted right here would be most relevant to all of you. We have a couple of videos which showcase experiences with ARC and also how to use ARC. So if you're looking for how to enter energy data, how to enter water data, you can do that through a video tutorial right here. And then last but not the least, if you're looking for more information, we have you can access our educational materials for free, and you can sign up for our newsletter for additional information and new features as they become available. So the first thing you're going to need to log in to ARC is going to be your email address and password. These need to be registered with USGBC. So make sure that if you don't have a registered email address and password, you can create one by clicking on this tab here. It takes you to a form which asks for basic information, like your name, your email address, and so on. Once it's registered with USGBC, which happens immediately, you can come back to ARC, enter email ID and password, agree to the standard end user license agreement, and log in. When I log in, since I have administrative access, I see all the projects in ARC. However, in your case, you might see one of two options. One option is if you've never engaged with LEED before, you're going to be able to create a new project, which Saurabh will show you in a minute. The second option is if you've already engaged with other LEED projects in your, in the last several months or years, you're going to see those LEED projects already in ARC. So we've transitioned projects from LEED Online to ARC to make it convenient for you to begin benchmarking for that particular building. So let's see what happens here. I've entered my email address, my password, and when I log in, it takes me into the fascinating world of ARC. Here we are. It takes you to a middle page where you see a leaderboard. This gets updated in a real-time basis, and you can see the high performers of that at this particular time across the world. You can look at impact around the world. We are currently tracking about just across carbon, energy, water, waste, occupancy, square footage. So we're just tracking over 3 billion square feet worldwide. Various stories, data insights. This is definitely my favorite part, where I can see across the buildings reporting data, what is the level of performance at a quick glance. This is available to you as well. And of course, education. You can click on any of these videos to learn more about specific topics. Let's create a project next, and I'm going to request Saurabh to walk us through through the steps.
Sure. So to first and foremost, you need to set up a project in Arc. So once you log in and sign in the agreement based on your access, you will see this button, Add a Project. So you can click on the Add a Project button. A form will open which will ask you a basic project information such as project name, project type, whether it's a building, cities or communities. It will also ask you to fill the gross floor area. So gross floor area is nothing but the combined floor area, all the buildings, and the unit. It can be either in square meter or square foot. It will also ask you, are you registering for a LEED certification? If you want to use it just for the benchmarking purpose, you can say no, otherwise you can say yes. It will ask you for a space type, and there are different options available for different categories, office, retail. You can choose the right option suitable for you, and the owner type. Accordingly, you can choose the owner type based on your description. Then it will ask you to fill the owner organization name. If the owner organization is not there in the ARC platform, you can start adding a new organization by filling a simple information. And the owner email ID, which is basically an admin email ID that needs to be filled up. Followed by the country or origin where the project belongs to, and a simple checkbox asking you whether the project is private or not. If you click the project is private, your data will not be shared across. Finally, it will ask you for a detailed address of the project. So you need to fill the information, address, city, country. And also it is very important to geolocate the project. Since ARC is weighted across various metrics, so it is very important you locate the project on a map or provide the coordinates. Once you are done, once you have reviewed the information, you can click on agree to sign in button and add a project. So this is as simple as you want. In a minute, you will able to set up a project in ARC. And once you set up a project, now Gautami will further take how to add the data further.
Great. So here we have our project set up so quickly. Once you do that, the first thing would be to enter the data that you have available. So when you create a project profile, on the left-hand side is your navigation panel, overview, performance, meters and surveys, leadership and manage. Each of these allow you to undertake the different activities in ARC. And on the right side is the visualization of that activity. So for example, let's go to meters and surveys, because that's where you're going to be spending your time with ARC to enter data. So let me start with building settings first. Here in building settings, you're providing the information for your particular building. There's a couple of tabs here. Occupants, which is the number of people in the building. Gross floor area, or the area if that needs to be updated. Operating hours, which is the number of hours your building is operating. Typically, we see it's 24/7 for healthcare, hospitality venues. For offices, it might be 60 to 80 hours, depending on how often your building is open. Emission factors is an optional tab here. This is where you can enter your custom carbon emission factors. So for example, if your energy grid is a special grid or a community grid, you can do that here. And for operational days, this is a number of days your building works throughout the year. So we have a couple of defaults here, but of course, if you want to update it, you can do that. Next up, we're going to go through each of the categories very quickly and show you how to enter data. So for energy, I'm going to pass it to Saurabh.
Thanks, Gautami. So now once we have the building settings and setup done, we can start, entering a meter into the ARC. So first we'll take you to the energy meter. You need to click on add a new meter. Once you click on add a new meter, it will ask you to, add the energy data and click on the next button. Once you click on the next button, it will ask you to name the meter. So you can choose the meter name, like if you want to segregate it to HVAC lighting, you can choose depending on the source. It will ask you the type of the meter. It will be an electricity meter. There are other options like water and other fuel, and the unit. So if your unit differs from a standard unit, you can choose the right unit here. And lastly, it will ask you the fuel source, whether it's purchased from grid, generated on-site solar, or diesel consumption, various other information. So based on your source, you can choose the right option here and click the add button. Once you click the add button, you will see a meter being created. Since Gautami mentioned main electricity meter, you will see a row being added, main electricity meter. Now you can start entering information. You can directly enter the information right into this platform. You can add the row button and start entering the information. At a minimum, monthly energy consumption data needs to be recorded for the last 12 months. Here it is given reading start date and end date. That means you can start entering on a monthly basis, 1st Feb to 1st March, 1st March to 1st April, and so on. It will ask you to have a reading, what is the reading or consumption unit, and a cost if it is available. You can alternately apply an attempt for the additional documentation which is required for the certification. If you go to the details tab, you will see the information. Once you enter the data, you will see a graph and what is the consumption over the last 12 months. You will be able to quickly. And if you want to edit the meter name, meter source, and the type, you can do it right here. The last information is the documents, wherein you can upload the utility bill and supporting documentation once you apply for certification. So there are various ways to enter the energy related data. One is what I've shown it here. The second one is we have a spreadsheet that is a template available, which Gautami is pointing out here. So a spreadsheet, Excel template wherein you can, enter the information what is, you have entered it right here. Or if you have an automation system right in your building, we can help you connect the automation system with the Arc platform so that the documentation and the communication happens, in a streamlined manner. Also, Energy Star Portfolio Manager is available. So you're already logging into the Energy Star Portfolio Manager and recording the data there. We can help you reconnect back into the Arc platform. The next, I would request Gautami to take it.
Thank you. I know we're very close to the end of this webinar time, so we're going to run through I'm going to run through the next 4 categories, but please know that we have detailed information and we'll be sending that as follow-up links. So the same process applies to water too. You can add a meter for water. Once you add the meter for water, there's 4 ways to upload data. Type it manually into the platform, upload a spreadsheet, connect it to Portfolio Manager if you're using that. And the 4th option is to automate it from a smart meter software or hardware system you might have available. Similarly for waste, once you conduct a waste analysis, you enter the quantity of waste generated and the quantity of waste diverted directly into the platform. You can also upload the spreadsheet. I do want to show you the transportation survey. It's a very simple survey where you can email the survey or copy a survey link. Let me show it to you in English, but of course, if you want a particular language, we can make that available for you. The survey consists of 2 questions. The first one relates to transportation, and the second one relates to occupant satisfaction. So for transportation, you can say if you walked, bike, took a particular mode of transport to work. If I took a bike for 5 miles, this is how I would enter it. And for human experience, I can identify that I'm very satisfied with the building and submit it. The data auto-populates into the platform and the score is automatically generated based on the information received. Please know that you have to collect at least 25% response rate to generate a score. For human experience, you're going to see a list of different contaminants, 3 of which are required and the rest of them are optional. So when you conduct an air quality analysis, you can enter the information directly into the platform. Last but not the least, we have different guides available for you within ARC. If you're looking for the data required for buildings, if you're looking for the data template, those are all easily available under guides. So with that, let me pause on the demo and go back to see if we can take maybe a couple questions, Deepti and Lindsay, if that's okay.
It's good with me. Lindsay, is it okay that we can extend the call by another 10 minutes?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me share the questions with Gautami right away.
Thank you. I'm seeing a few in the chat. Are we going to record this workshop? Yes. Are we going to send you resources after the call? Yes. I'll be sharing them with Deepti and Lindsay, and they will share it with you moving forward.
Yeah, I've shared them with you, Gautami. In the meantime, yeah, there's one specific question on minimum sampling methods of IAQ and what would be the acceptable procedure of IAQ.
Sure. That can be its own 60-minute webinar.
Sure.
What I'm going to answer it briefly, but please know that we have very written and detailed documentation for this question. So at a minimum for air quality sampling, we're looking for readings that are collected in at least one location every 25,000 square feet. And within that location, it's collected within the breathing zone, which is 3 to 6 feet off the ground. And it's collected during regularly occupied hours. So these are the very basic minimum requirements. However, please know that there's detailed guidance if you're looking for a certain standard, if you're looking for a certain sensor. There's more information and we can send that your way. I'm seeing a couple questions, so I'm going to run through these to be respectful of all of your time and the extra time you're spending with us. We really appreciate it. One of the questions is, do I need to be LEED certified to update building performance data? No, you do not need to be, your building does not need to be LEED certified. You can use any building anywhere in the world to begin benchmarking in ARC. The next question is it correct that the performance is benchmarked for LEED certified projects? I will answer this question two ways. Number one, if your building is certified to LEED or not, you can begin benchmarking in ARC. And second, yes, you are compared against other green building projects worldwide to get a score. A significant portion of those buildings are LEED certified. So yes, you are being compared to high-performing buildings. The third question is, does ARC allow you to decide if you have to use LEED on your projects? Yes, ARC is a way to understand how your building is performing and then decide when the time is right if your building can pursue LEED certification. One way to do that is to enter data in ARC and to keep a track that you have to be above 40% in every category to pursue LEED certification. So you can start today, see if you're at that point, and if you're not, continue to track your target to ensure that you can be at least at 40%, if not above, to pursue LEED certification. Another question is, does ARC provide API for third-party platforms? Yes, ARC is very excited to engage with different data providers. So if your company has a data collection platform, or if your building is using a data collection platform, please reach out to us. We are at contact@arcscoru.com, and we do have an API that allows you to automate the data. There's a couple more questions. Is there a certificate for being an O&M assessor or on ARC? So ARC offers a different kind of certificate. It's called the ARC Performance Pro certificate. It's available to individuals that want to demonstrate their experience using the ARC platform to improve building performance. This more information is available on our website, and that training and its certification is going to be live pretty soon. Couple more questions. This is a very engaged audience, and I really appreciate it. The next question is, who owns the building data that's entered into ARC? So ARC has different levels of, I understand that this question might be coming from confidentiality related information. So let me answer it differently. ARC offers you different levels of privacy. You can choose how private or confidential your building information needs to be. So for example, when you enter building data into ARC, it's only available to the project team members that you choose to be added to that project. No one else can see the basic building data. For example, energy consumption information. The score of your building, again, it's up to you how often or who you choose to share the score with. Only if you make your project public, that's when we share the score of your certified building. In all other cases, all data is confidential, and you own your building data. We keep it confidential for you. Another question, could we enter adjusted energy and water bills in the ARC platform? Most often, when you enter documentation into the platform, you're looking for the bills to match the energy use data that you've provided into ARC. So that's the primary purpose of the documentation. So ensure that whenever you enter a bill or any other documentation in ARC, it matches the data that you've provided, or the energy use consumption data that you've provided to ARC. So when you get started, you can enter the data that you think best reflects the project. When you choose to submit for review, make sure it's as accurate as possible and matches the supporting documentation.
Gautami, just to clarify, I think the question comes from the fact that in some of the Emirates, most of the Emirates, all of the utility companies do not bill from the 1st of the month to the 30th. I'm sure you've had this question many times before. So I think the background comes from that. So we've had questions asking whether the 12 months can begin, say, on the 15th of a month and then run until the 15th of the 12th month.
Of course. So you can, yes, you can choose a period that best reflects the frequency with which you're getting data. Thank you for that question, Deepti. As Saurabh mentioned, when you enter data into the ARC platform, you're entering it as a start date and an end date. So that start date could be of your choosing and the end date can be of your choosing. We're just making sure that there's no gaps in your data in a 12-month period. I think I covered most of the questions that were sent my way, but please let me know, Deepti, if I'm missing something.
Right. If we want to share the CE hours for the session, we have one CE hour for all the GAs and APs out there. So we have the code for that. If we want to display it or paste it on the chat window, and in the meantime, we can take a couple more questions. There was one specific question. How does Emirates Green Building Council, LEED or ARC respond to the current threats regarding sustainability in the UAE? Although there is innovation in green building in upcoming projects, example Expo 2020, and projects mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, is there concern around large developers who seem to be building very quickly with unsustainable materials and have massive amounts of embodied carbon and embodied energy? So while I'm not going to take the Emirates Green Building Council part, I'm going to speak on behalf of GBCI and USGBC, which is the LEED and ARC part. So thank you to the lady from Scotland who asked this question. And this also gives us the opportunity to share USGBC's second generation vision of making a conscious shift, not just into sustainability, but also into resiliency, equity, health, and wellness. We also encourage all of you on the call to please take a look at our Living Standard campaign and also the LEED Positive initiative that we've launched. The good news is that LEED is a voluntary rating system, and especially in the UAE and the region, we've led the way for many, many years. Thanks to all of the clients and stakeholders we work with, we can very happily boast of 1,200 odd clientele. And the objective is to continue to spread the work we do across the Middle East and rest of the globe, and to inspire projects and developers in the region to embark on a sustainable pathway. So even if the steps are baby steps, even if they're really small steps towards doing more good than choosing not to do any good at all, I think that's the movement we want to support. With EGBC, I think thanks to all of you stand testament to the fact that given the trying times, all of you have put in that effort to log in and to be part of the session. So really a huge thanks to all of you. With EGBC, we have LEED Zero and True Zero Waste trading systems in the coming months scheduled. So we hope you're able to attend those sessions as well. If you have any specific questions about a project in the region, please reach out to me. I'm going to paste my email ID on the chat box. So please write to us. Please write to Gautami. Please write to the ARC team, to Saurabh, and we're here to support and help you out. Great. Thank you, Gautami. Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you so much for all of your patience, mostly during this time, and for answering all of these questions. We do have a very engaging audience, and I hope to have more such sessions planned with them in the near future. If you want to quickly end the session with a word of thanks, and then I can pass the floor to Lindsay.
Thanks, everyone. I hope everyone's staying safe and indoors. That's most critical at this time. I think the green building movement will continue. So I look forward to continuing this conversation even after this webinar. Thanks so much for having ARC today.
Hi, okay, I just wanted to thank all of you today for joining us, and to all of the presenters for a really informative presentation. As Deepti mentioned, we'll be following this with another 2 webinars in the coming months. So please do watch out for emails and social media posts, how you can register for that. Emirates Green Building Council, we're also going to be running other webinars on other topics. We have a technical workshop which we're running next week on the topic of resilient cities, which is particularly relevant at the moment. That's going to be facilitated by one of the Emirates Green Building Council corporate members, Arab. So I will provide some more information as a follow-up in a follow-up email for that. And there was also a question on embodied carbon, and we're also going to be running a webinar in the next couple of weeks around this topic in partnership with the World Green Building Council, and another webinar also on air quality. So please do sign up to our mailing list, and I hope that many of you will join us on those future webinars. And thanks once again to the GBCI team for a very informative presentation.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye-bye.